Hi, my name is Kristen Lane, and I am an Education Program Specialist at the Minnesota Department of Ed, working with the Minnesota Career Information System, or MCIS. And I will be hosting today's webinar on education and training files on the special education version of MCIS. MCIS has created this version to better meet the needs of students by using straightforward language written at the 5th grade level with less text density and clearer choices. Starting on the client side in the red mega menu, there is a tab called the Education tab. Under this tab, you can see the larger subject area of what can I study, where can I study, and where can I get help paying for school. Under this Education tab, you can go directly to any of these areas as determined by your client's needs. The Education tab has perhaps the most information of the different information files in MCIS, and all files are linked together for seamless exploration. I will be going into each of these files in today's webinar. However, we are first going to enter into this Education tab in a what I would consider a more natural way. I was a teacher and high school counselor for over 20 years, and I found that most often when working with students with MCIS, we would start looking for programs of study or training based on an occupation they were interested in. So I would start from their favorites. Under My Portfolio, we'll go down to Favorites. Once we're in Favorites, we can see folders with all and any stored files. They kind of put them into these individual folders. We're going to go down to Occupations. And from here, I can see career clusters and individual career selections based on their favorited, saved. Here we go, farm equipment. So these are farm equipment mechanics was a saved occupation. Let's take a look at farm equipment mechanics. And when we first come in from occupations, favorite occupations, we are in the Occupations tab in farm equipment mechanics. In webinar 2, Jeff kind of covered all of the topics here with what would it be like to be a farm equipment mechanic? How much would they earn? How do I prepare? And down below is the related information. So when working with a student, I would have gone through all of that, and that probably would have easily taken up one session. So this would kind of be like the next step. They know they like this job, they want to go for it. Let's go for programs of study and find out where they need to go for next steps in their training. So here they'll click in and see that there are programs of study directly related to this occupation, and then some to consider. At any point can save depending on how sure or certain or uncertain they are of their choice. I'm going to select diesel technology. We're going to go with that one, and you can see once I selected the program of study that I was interested in, we are in the Education tab under Programs of Study. We begin with an overview, which briefly describes what a student will learn in the diesel technology program, and that there are some concentrations and specializations, and then schools, different education paths that are available, like community and technical college will offer a certificate or an associate's degree, roughly how long that will take, and that even a few colleges and universities may offer a bachelor's degree in diesel tech. Over here under topics, the next topic is program admissions. With program admissions, if your client is still in high school, they could look at their high school course options and just see if any of these courses that they have at their school could help them apply or be applied towards preparing them for a program of study in college. So sometimes you have to look at their course offerings and sort of help them navigate these titles. They could be a little tricky to line them up. They can also work with their school counselor if they're still in high school. The next topic is the typical course work. So this would be the program's typical coursework. So in a certificate program in diesel technology, these would be the following subjects that they would study. Then if they were to do an associate's program, they would look at these subjects up above, as well as adding some of these subjects below. And then you'll get a little more information that the diesel technology program always has large amounts of hands-on learning, and most of it will be done in the garage rather than the classroom. So this is sounding good. They can save the diesel technology at any point. The next topics are things to know. And this gives tips or information that's not always found in a program description. For example, when looking for programs, here they recommend that you look for one that is approved by the National Institute for Automotive Service Excellence, or ASE. That maybe some training can be available through the military. Also, that you should plan on purchasing your own tools or safety equipment. And then also just some additional information on that you may have to take some coursework once you finish this program to stay on top of it, and that your employer may often pay for some of this training. Okay, going back over to this left here, related topics, programs of study. This will give us programs of study that are very similar to the diesel technology program. Again, can save this list. If some of these may also sound interesting, they can link right to any of these programs of study as well. And while in diesel technology, there's also a financial aid link, and this will bring your clients directly to scholarships that are connected to diesel technology field in the MCIS scholarship database. Click into here. There are over 3,000 scholarships, and they're updated yearly by myself and the rest of the MCIS team, and included in your fees and subscriptions. The scholarships are typically broken down into in-state scholarships and national scholarships. For this particular program, we did not have any Minnesota specific scholarships, but we clicked on national and we can save. I'm also going to show you more with the financial aid when we get into the paying for school. I just wanted to kind of highlight the interconnectedness of while you're in the program of study that you can also link to the financial aid. I'm just going to back button us out. And just wanting to show you that interconnectedness that it can link you right to those paying for college files. Occupations. Right here at the bottom will give you occupations directly related to diesel technology and other occupations related to this program of study. So this is where they'll find that the farm equipment mechanics are going to be right in with that diesel technology program, that it directly is related to that occupation. All right, so now we want to look for schools. So here we have the link to the Minnesota post-secondary institutions. I'm going to click on this link, and it will bring us to the types of schools listed. I'm going to click into Minnesota State post-secondary institutions, and here we're going to get a list of about 10 programs that have a diesel technology program of study. And we can look at different schools, and maybe we see, we'll look at this one. It has a certificate and associates and a diploma. That's not too far from home. So let's take a peek at it and let's see what these other programs are. So before we click right into it, we can go to the program description, and then they can see very quickly which have heavy duty truck technology diploma and what is entailed in that. Also the heavy duty technology, that's the Associates of Applied Science, and then information about that. Also, there is a truck fleet maintenance certificate and more information about how to get and what that certificate means. So then we can also click, and we like this program description. Let's click into the Dakota County Technical College, and here we end up on their information file. And in the middle, you're going to see the contact information with all of the links and phone numbers at a glance. And then you'll see the videos, and we're excited this spring. We updated over 2,000 college videos with 360 virtual tours. They also added their virtual tour link right down here. And with COVID, this can be a real challenging time to be doing those visits with your clients. Over here on the left, we can continue going down. There's some information on the student body, which brings the breakdown of how many are freshmen and men and women. It gives you the racial ethnic background of students, the out of state, international, and the age of students. So when trying to find a fit with your client, this can be some important variables. Cost, this one always can be a little hard to find. I like to point out that every year that your fees, again, your subscription fees for MCIS go to helping myself and the MCIS team into, we send out a yearly survey to all 140 Minnesota colleges, and we collect all that information and update each one of these areas. So when you're looking at tuition, you're getting the tuition costs for the current year. And some general tuition information. And I like to follow that up with financial aid. In the financial aid information, they'll break down how much aid typical freshman gets and when their forms are due. You can also click into admissions. This has some important information, I think, when working with a client as well on a good fit, because you can find out what the entrance difficulty is, how many applied with last year's applicants, how many applied, how many got accepted, how many were enrolled. Also admission deadlines, application requirements, exam requirements, what kinds of exams might they have to do. So if there's any support that you offer in directing them, your clients, to getting some prep for these kinds of standardized tests. So it can be some good information under admissions. Academics, this can be nice to look at when looking at size and ratio. So looking at student to faculty ratio, 30:1. These lecture sizes being 18 for their lecture and 15 for labs. And sometimes when I was working with students, they would say, well, you know, what does that mean? And I say, well, how many kids are maybe in your biology class right now? Well, there's probably 35. Yep. So here at Dakota County, your ratio, your class sizes, your labs are only going to be about 15, and your class sizes lectures are going to be about 18. So talking about getting some extra help, more attention, questions answered when you have them, and maybe just feeling comfortable in a smaller setting, because these settings do vary greatly by college. And so it's really important to look at it. You know, when I was talking with my students, I would often say right here, well, my college, the average lecture size was about 200. And that the lab ratios were about 40:1 with GAs. So can be very different at each school. So in helping them find their fit and talking about those important pieces, this can be really helpful. Also talking about programs that they offer, how they take in credits, if your student's been doing any CTE credits. Sports and student life, I just like to touch on this one. Not everyone was a Division I athlete or Division II athlete, or maybe even wanted to play, but you know, just really general fitness and activity and being involved on a campus and in the school's community is good for the client, the student, having some balance between studying and being involved. And so between the sports and the student life, there can be activities at their campus that they might want to get involved in. So this helps steer them towards finding and connecting with those things that they either currently do or maybe have had an interest in doing. Student services. This can be particularly helpful to go through with clients with disabilities, to guide them towards resources and supports for them at a particular college. This can make a big impact on deciding where a student will be more successful. So helping them determine what there is, because there is such a difference between IDA for the high school and what that means at a college campus. And so kind of going through those differences, maybe helping them connect with the person who will be their contact at the college could be a nice touch. Career services, this is a agency that, or an area that will assist with getting a job once they graduate. Their MCIS accounts can be transferred to a college's site, so they can access the work that you've been doing with them all along and preparing for a career. Many of our colleges have MCIS as well in the state of Minnesota. Below here for related information is just more important information or important information on programs that the colleges can offer. So from here, you can decide to save this school. You want to look, I really like this one. You can save it. It puts it in my portfolio under favorites for Minnesota Post-Secondary Institution. And we can see that I really like this one, posted today. I can go back here. There is a scripted email. So if they would like to email the college, they can do this right from here and send out a quick email or a letter requesting information, so they can do it snail mail way. All right, up at the top, I just want to go into a couple of these. This choosing a school will be another topic up in the education tab we'll go into in a minute. It's a big information file, but cluster index will show all of the Minnesota State colleges by cluster. So just all the Minnesota State ones. The Mayo, oops, sorry, should have went down a little bit slower. Private four-year, these are all the school types in Minnesota. Private four-year, private professional, vocational, tribal, and University of Minnesota. You can also look up colleges in Minnesota by title alphabetically, and because we were on Dakota County, it's going to just have shoot us right to the D's. What I like a lot here is this compare button. And here's where you can compare 3 schools at a time, at one time. So we could compare that Dakota College along with 2 others. Now I don't exactly remember 2 more of the schools off the top of my head, so no worries. We can just go up to the education tab. We can go into this bigger program of study where we can now see all the Minnesota schools by alphabet, by cluster. So I'm going to choose by alphabet because we were in that biotechnology. Sorry, not biotechnology, the D's, we were already there. I got us out, sorry about that. We were in diesel technology program of study. So I click back on that diesel technology. It loops us back to here, Minnesota State colleges. And here I'm back to my list and I can see that Alexandria and Dakota was the one we looked up. And then maybe let's put in St. Cloud Technical. So I got to remember those 3. Actually, I don't need to remember 3 because I can click into Alexandria right here. Same that information just on Alexandria's page. We can go up to that blue compare box so we can see Alexandria Technical and Community College populated for us. We can go to the D's and pull up that Dakota County Technical College and you can see that populate. And then we had, let's go to S. Let's go to the S and go to St. Cloud Technical and Community College. And there we have our 3. We can compare the list and then we get a side by side of all 3 colleges. So we can look up costs and it'll have all 3 schools lined up really nicely. We can click into any of those colleges again and save them. We can look them up. You can also look up colleges individually. So you can search for a school individually. All right, this was a walkthrough of starting with a client, from their favorite occupation. So we had taken farm equipment mechanic, and then we identified the program of study, the diesel technology, which led us to the colleges that offered that program. And we even got to see a few scholarships to potentially apply for. So this is the way that I typically found myself most of the time navigating through the educational tab the most. So now I'm also we're gonna now go directly into some of those files in the education tab. And we'll start with that choosing a program of study. And this is a great spot to get some additional information and resources on choosing a program and learning about options after high school. And again, many of these big informational pieces too are also in Spanish. So you can click this different Spanish mode. In here, sometimes talking with students about those degrees and what they all mean. Right here can talk about the post-secondary degrees, certificates and diplomas, associates, bachelor's, master's, all those different degree types. You can go into apprenticeship programs, special programs. They're more the alternative methods. So if you have a client who maybe is not graduating from high school this year, they can look at the alternative ed or the adult basic ed. There's information on how to choose a program, linking right back into how to choose a program of study, which we already kind of covered. But if you're working on this as an information file and you're having a client who's struggling, there can be some really good know yourself information, activities to walk through, more information on programs and careers. And then I like this tools in CIS. So when trying to figure out how to choose a program of study, they have that links to that career index with all of the 20-ish major programs of study. You can look them up by alphabet. You can look up by search. Also below here, if you're still trying to figure out what programs you might want to go into, to really look with what lines up with your interests. You can do the occupation sort, a career cluster inventory. So here is the links to all those sorts. Some other tools, some more information files. There's this school sort. And this can help you as well in looking up schools throughout Minnesota, as well as the 40 states. So you can go under undergraduate schools. There are sort topics over here on the left. So we were going to look at associate's degree. I'm just going to look at 3 criteria. Here's the criteria or the sort topics. And then right now you can see there's about 3,831 colleges in our MCIS database. The Minnesota schools, remember we send out that survey and every year we're updating. Well, every 2 years, the Peterson program or Peterson Guide program, they update all the national schools. So I'm going to look at associate's degree, continue. Maybe I want to look at colleges that are in our reciprocity states. So I selected Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota. We can see it populate over here, and Wisconsin. So now we can create that list. One thing I also say when we're starting to throw out these lists, maybe looking at the academics to make sure that the schools have the actual program of study that you're interested in. So I can even click on academics here. This major clusters is sort of a big topic, larger program. We would find this one would be under something under engineering. So it's a bigger one. I really always just use the individual majors because then we can go right to the D's and go to that diesel mechanic, or sorry, diesel technology right here. We can select it. There we see our major, diesel technology, and I have 3 criteria and I have now 17 schools. So that's a manageable list. So I can click here to get on the list, or I can click to results. And there comes 17 schools that I can then link into. I can save them as favorites by checking them. I can click into them to get more information on them. So if I wanted to look up, Central Lakes College in Staples, oh, there's an error on it right now. Okay, well, this is a place where you can generate, I'm not sure why there's a broken link. We'll get a ticket in for that. But here is the list of schools that have that program. Making a note of that. Okay, you can save these sorts, you can compare those schools. So just a nice way to also look up some additional programs. And that was under the choosing a program. The program of studies, we've already been in here a couple times, a couple different ways where we can look at the programs of study by title or by cluster or search individually. Short-term training, I'm going to click into short-term training, and maybe your client does not really want to go to any kind of college, but they maybe want some training and they would be willing to go to a little short-term training. You can click into here. We have an overview of the short-term training, and these are businesses and that have been certified and programs that have been certified by the Office of Higher Ed to provide a training program in a specific area. So there's an overview of what short-term training is and that they're broken up. They provide federal, so there can be some federal or state licensing exams and some training for specific occupations. And here are the list of those occupations. So if we click into medicine and therapeutic services, you will get a list of academies or companies that have a training program, usually a pretty short training program, usually a year or less. Okay, that's short-term training. Choosing a school. Again, and this is going to be a big treasure trove of information and resources on the different types of schools, how to prepare for schools, per college, how to choose a school, how to apply to the school. Sometimes these can just be really good topics. I'll jump into this one, types of schools. So explaining what a career and technical school is, a 2-year community, a 4-year college university, the whole public-private, nonprofit, for-profit colleges, online, on campus. So just these differences, along with some really good files on preparing and activities that maybe help walk through preparing for a program and applying. I'm going to go back up to the education tab. We've already covered the Minnesota schools. I want to skip down here to the apprenticeships. Apprenticeships can be a tricky one to find. I always found this one a little bit hard to find information on when kids wanted to come in and talk about apprenticeships. So here's an overview of what an apprenticeship is and how they work. And that the Department of Labor recognizes over 800 apprenticeshipable occupations and what they range over. There's program information. Now Minnesota has 2 types of state-approved apprenticeship programs. There's an adult apprenticeship one, and then there's a youth apprenticeship. So it talks about what the typical length of an apprenticeship program is, and how the classes work, how many hours you need, roughly, and then what the working, like kind of how you end up working and going to class at the same time. Then there is also program contact information, and this is really helpful for steering and directing towards adult apprenticeships, contacting a union office, finding workforce centers that are connected. There are some colleges that have apprenticeship programs. I really like this list here at the bottom of registered apprenticeship sponsors and training programs in Minnesota by county. Thought this was always really a helpful tool. They can choose the county that they're in. So I'm going to choose Anoka, the industry, manufacturing, Hit refresh, and then I can see all of the employers and sponsors in Anoka that are sponsoring a manufacturing apprenticeship, and you can click in and get more details. Okay, going down, there's a selection committee process in an apprenticeship, so there's information on that along with some sample interview questions, training in the room, classroom, like how the classroom setup goes, and just some additional things that are good to know about working and going through an apprenticeship, and that sometimes it takes a while between an apprenticeship and an assignment to a job, and that sometimes there's some colleges will offer some credit for experience. All right, that sums up apprenticeships and some resources there. I'm going to go into paying for school. This is really a treasure trove of resources and information about calculating the costs of college. When working with students and families, I use the applying a lot for financial aid to help with getting information and assistance in filling out the FAFSA. Information that explains scholarships, grants, and loans, and then other ways to pay for college. That financial aid is just the start. Some other ways to earn some money. With the scholarships, I'm going to go into this one really quick. Talks about merit scholarships, those also athletic scholarships, as well as scams. And I always felt like it was really good to talk to students. It seemed like every year we'd get some people that would get some question, they'd pay money out, and we talk about never paying for a scholarship. It should be free. You shouldn't even have to send $1 in to get registered, or there is no guarantee with a scholarship, so be leery of that. So the scams give some good heads up, as well as there is a financial aid sort in here, similar to the school sort. You can tap, there are over 3,000 scholarships in MCIS. Database, and part of your MCIS subscriptions keep us updating those scholarships each year. You can have them really work on this independently. And you have criteria very similar to the school sorts. Pick men, pick a Native American, and then we'll go down for learning disabilities. And I'm just gonna, for sake of time, just pick a couple. You can search the criteria here or just get my results. And you're going to see that 180 awards are here. So there's 2,871 off the list. And you can go into these awards. Starred are ones that have been saved from before. You can check and add more. You can save the whole sort. I would jump into here really quickly. And show the award. I would work with my students. You can show your clients how you can liken a scholarship search to a part-time job. And when you look at the award amounts, you can go through that part with them. That's always gets their attention. What areas those awards are being connected to, any academic accredited post-secondary institution. So where can it be used? The description of the scholarship, the deadline, and then what's the procedure. So I like to walk through this one, and they need their transcript, 2 letters of recommendation, personal essays, no more than 1,000 words. I kind of like, that's like a 3 to 4 paragraph paper. They most likely may have done a personal essay in either a career class or an English class, or maybe you have them working on them. And then a certificate. So we talk about like maybe how much time do they think this might take them? And then I look back up at the number and go, well, how many hours would you have to work to earn that money? So get a gauge on time versus job. And then I also let them know that every year so many scholarships go unclaimed, that if they just put a couple hours into this, they would most likely find that they got something. So just putting that out there, that can be a helpful source. And then what I like about using it in MCIS is that your clients are not signing up for a scholarship search engine like FastWeb. They are only searching in MCIS. So there's no personal information given out until they submit the scholarship directly to the organization funding the scholarship. So your clients aren't going to get spam in their email accounts or linked to other scams for anything. MCIS scholarship database is closed to MCIS users. All right. This wraps up the education and training webinar. I've shown you how you might navigate from your client's favorite occupations, and also how you can go right into the education tab and go directly into those files. MCIS has many intuitive interconnecting links, so I encourage you to explore these files, find your favorites. Just a reminder too that we are included in your fee is customer support. So if you need any help from us, please contact us through the login page. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to log out here. That first login page where you get in under technical support, we have contact technical support. So you can email our MCIS team up here, calling us, or you can fill out this technical support request form, and we will be happy to get back to you as soon as possible with any questions and support we can give you. Thank you for watching today's webinar on education and training files in MCIS. Have a great rest of your day.